U.S. forces have just taken direct action. American helicopters, the AH-64 Apache from the U.S. Army and the MH-60 Seahawk from the U.S. Navy, tracked and sank 6 Iranian fast attack boats that were moving against commercial shipping. According to U.S. Central Command, those boats were actively threatening vessels in the area. And the response came fast, helicopters moving in, identifying targets, and eliminating them before they could get close. And here's where things start to escalate. U.S. officials also confirmed that Iran has launched new attacks aimed not only at merchant ships, but directly at American warships using drones, cruise missiles, and these same kinds of fast boats. This incident comes right after the United States launched a new operation aimed at protecting commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, the name Project Freedom. But here's the twist. The operation has now been paused, at least temporarily, as the White House looks to open the door for negotiations with Iran. U.S. Central Command has been steadily building up forces in the region, preparing for exactly this kind of scenario, where small, fast, asymmetric threats try to disrupt global trade. We're talking about a layered response, not just ships, not just helicopters, but a full spectrum of air power. Aircraft like the A-10 Thunderbolt II, F-15, F-16, F-18, and even the F-35 have been positioned to respond quickly. Electronic warfare platforms like the Growler are in the mix, along with surveillance aircraft like the RC-135 and aerial refueling tankers like the KC-46 and KC-135. That means constant eyes in the sky, constant readiness. Let's slow this down for a second and look at what actually carried out the strike, because this part really matters. The 2 helicopters involved were the AH-64 Apache and the MH-60 Seahawk, and these are not just support aircraft, these are frontline combat platforms built specifically for moments like this. The Apache, operated by the U.S. Army, is essentially a flying tank hunter. It's heavily armored, designed to survive hits, and packed with firepower. Its main weapon is a 30mm chain gun mounted under the nose, capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute, more than enough to tear through small boats in seconds. But that's just the start. It can also carry Hellfire missiles, precision-guided weapons that lock onto targets and hit with extreme accuracy. Against fast attack boats, that kind of precision is critical. One clean hit and it's over. Now, the Seahawk plays a different role. This is the Navy's multi-mission helicopter designed to operate directly from warships. It can take off from a destroyer, fly low over the water, identify threats, and engage them almost immediately. It's typically armed with heavy machine guns, rockets, and sometimes guided missiles, depending on the mission. And here's what makes this combination so effective. You've got the Apache bringing raw firepower and precision strike capability, and the Seahawk providing flexibility, maritime awareness, and rapid deployment from ships already in the area. Together, they can respond in minutes. So when those Iranian boats moved into position, fast, low profile, trying to close the distance, they weren't just facing ships on the horizon, they were already being watched from above. And once those helicopters commit, there's not a lot of time left. Now, helicopters are just one part of the picture. If these small boats push closer, or if the situation escalates, U.S. warships in the area can engage directly, and they're equipped with some serious firepower. Destroyers like the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer are specifically designed to handle threats like this. At close range, they can use rapid-fire deck guns like the 5-inch naval gun to engage small boats quickly and accurately. These guns can fire multiple rounds per minute and are guided by advanced targeting systems. But that's just the visible part. They also carry systems like the Phalanx Close-In Weapon System, basically an automated radar-guided gun that can track and destroy incoming threats in seconds. It's often described as the last line of defense, but against small boats, it's extremely effective. And then you get into missiles. While larger missiles are typically reserved for bigger targets, warships can deploy precision-guided weapons when needed, especially if boats are operating as part of a coordinated attack. So imagine this scenario: small boats approaching fast, helicopters engaging from above, and destroyers locking targets from miles away. Where do those boats go? Because once they're detected, they're not dealing with just one threat, they're dealing with an entire network. And then there's something a lot of people don't expect to see in this kind of scenario: the A-10. The A-10 Thunderbolt II is one of the oldest aircraft still in active U.S. service, first introduced back in the 1970s. It wasn't built for naval warfare, it was built to destroy tanks on a Cold War battlefield. But here's the thing, it turns out to be incredibly effective against small boats too. The A-10 is built around its massive Avenger cannon, a 30mm rotary gun that fires explosive rounds at extremely high rates. Against lightly armored or unarmored boats, it's devastating. And unlike faster jets, the A-10 can fly low and slow. It can stay over an area for extended periods, watching, tracking movement, and waiting for the right moment to strike. There have been multiple indications that A-10s are part of the broader U.S. presence in the region right now, supporting operations like Project Freedom. And when you combine that with other aircraft like F-15s and F-18s providing cover and surveillance planes feeding real-time data, you start to see the full picture. This isn't just about reacting to threats. This is about controlling the airspace, the sea, and everything in between. Even with all the firepower the U.S. has in the region, these small boats are still a real threat because they're not meant to attack alone. They come in swarms, fast, low, and from multiple directions, forcing ships to deal with several targets at once. And in that kind of situation, things can get messy very quickly. And here's the key point. It doesn't take all of them getting through. It takes one. One boat getting close enough could seriously damage a ship like an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. That's the risk. So while sinking 6 boats is significant, it's really just one moment in a much bigger picture, a constant effort to stop something that only has to work once. And that leaves one question. Can they stop it every single time? And beyond that, what happens next? Because this operation, launched under President Donald Trump, isn't just about reacting to attacks. It's about reopening and securing one of the most critical shipping routes in the world. Will it actually work? Will it keep the strait open long term? Or does every new engagement, every strike like this, just increase the chances of something bigger unfolding? Because right now, it feels like this isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning.